The Painting with Magic Show with Brandon Thomas is brought to you by BrandonThomasArtSupply.com.
Hey, it's Brandon T here with the Painting with Magic Show. And today we're going to do another awesome project. What I have planned for you today is a nice little wood scene. We posted a poll on our community page here on our YouTube channel about what you guys would like to see. And wood scene was the winner of that, clearly. I think there's about 200 people or so joined that poll. So if you'd like to join our new polls, make sure you check our community page out about every day on our YouTube channel and see what we have going on there. We usually post updates and sometimes polls and tips and things like that on there. So what I have here is my 16 by 20 canvas. That's what I normally size I use. And I took black gesso. Let me get the black gesso. I took my signature black gesso and I painted in the tree. Before I did that though, I took some of the soft, because I get questioned on the charcoal I use. I use the extra soft charcoal from Grumbacher. Okay, that's what I'm using, and I take that and I sketch out my design. And I'll have a little picture on the screen for you of what that little design looked like. And then I just filled all that in with my black gesso. And then I added water to the brush. Now the brush I use just a little cheap synthetic flat brush, and I filled that all in. After that, I just diluted it down with some water and made some little lines for some trees, and just kind of diluted it down some more. And what it does, it just makes it lighter, the color. And then I just took a little bit of black that was remaining on the brush and just kind of sketched in a little path. Because what I figured we'd do today is a nice big tree with a nice path going in there, and just a nice fall scene, because today is going to be a fall scene. It's going to be a beautiful tree with beautiful fall colors all around it. And I think you're going to really enjoy this one. I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful fall scene without having orange on the palette. And so the colors that I'm using today, we usually have a little palette image go up on the screen, and I will have that same one on there. But the colors I'm using, I'm just going to tell you what they are. And they are the pre-tested from Grumbacher. It is titanium white, Hansa yellow, yellow ochre, Grumbacher red, burnt sienna, burnt umber, ultramarine blue deep, and some ivory black. So those are the colors we'll use today to paint this beautiful little painting. And this is a Fredrix canvas. And then what else did I do to this? I added some of my new medium, the NTO medium. And that's the new medium here that I'm introducing today, NTO. It's a non-toxic oil medium, non-toxic oil, NTO. And I put that on the bottom from about here down. You kind of see that. And took a shop towel and wiped it all down. Then I put Amazing White up here. So I got Amazing White up here, and I have NTO medium down here. And so that's what we got going. And let me grab a brush, and we'll get monkey faced. So let's take an old 2-inch landscape brush here, and I'm going to go into some yellow ochre, and I'm just going to tap the brush into it. And just tap that brush to a little bit of the yellow ochre. Alright, let's go back up here now. Okay, so let's go up here and just start tapping in some tree shapes and designs. You don't have to worry about too much. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to see up here today. Shouldn't see too much because we got a big old tree going on up here, but what you do see will be nice little details. And I'm not going to use many brushes today. We're going to be using a 2-inch brush, a fan brush, and a filbert and a liner. So 4 tools today for this one. Not many at all. Get them up here going. And we're using yellow ochre. Down here's a nice little bit. There we go. I'll tell you what, we'll just fill this bottom in right down here with some of this yellow ochre. We'll go on this side over here now. And just crunching in some tree shapes, some textures back here. Some nice little textures going on. Then at the bottom, we'll just fill it in. Just fill it in with some yellow ochre. Try to keep it just in the white areas with the yellow ochre. Just fill out all that in. There we go. Now we kind of tone our canvas. Okay, and now we're going to go to the next color, which is burnt sienna. And that's the next color in our next tone. Okay, I just loaded the brush in burnt sienna the same way. And now we just come back here and just decide on where some of these trees are going to be. Now I got a little hair there. Now that's going to happen with a natural brush. Natural bristle brushes, that's what they do. They pop a little hair every now and then. And just see all these beautiful colors go in. Just watch them go in. Real beautiful. And we do the same thing over here on this side. Now again, I don't know what we're going to see, but you know what? It's going to be nice, beautiful background stuff anyway. So that's pretty good. I'll tell you what, let's go down to the grass. Okay, I just reloaded the brush in burnt sienna, and then we're going to take the brush going like this. And I'm going to just let the tips of the bristles go down. You see that? Let's get a close-up. Just like this, right through here. I'm just going to use the top tips of this brush. And go down, just like that. And that's going to give us some beautiful tall grasses living in here. And we do that all around. Do it all over. There we go. Nice little bits over here. And nice little bits on this side. Just keep on playing around with it here. Beautiful tall grasses. And that instantly you get some beautiful looking effects with your grass. And it's running right into that path. Don't worry about that path. It's running right in there with it. Okay, and I'm going to load that brush into burnt umber. Same way we've loaded everything else. I'm going to go up here to the background. And then kind of at the bottom of those, just kind of add in some of the burnt umber in here. Just brings in a beautiful area and leave the white coming through. And that just shows lights popping through. It shows some sky possibly. And back through here's a little bit of that burnt umber. Beautiful. And we'll go back to the grass. And the same thing. Just kind of pop some of this color in. This is burnt umber. So we've used yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and some burnt umber for this. Okay, let's go over here a little bit. Pretty good. Really good. I'm just trying to get all this background stuff in first because we're going to work a lot on that tree. This is just really a beautiful background, but it's going to just show you a lot of things you can do if you just take your time and use a big old brush. So let's go right here. I'm just going to add some more burnt umber to the brush. I got not much paint on here because I want to see all those textures. Okay, there we go. Nice textury looking. And we can go down to the palette with our liner brush and we'll thin down some paint real quick. Okay, I grabbed a little bit of NTO medium. And that will really thin down the color. Really good. Okay, nice thin coat. And get a nice little sharp point right on your little script liner brush. Just a nice little bit. If it don't stick, just add more to it. So we're going to go up here and see if that sticks. Okay, so right through here, I'm just going to start adding in some beautiful little background things. And that is sticking just fine. Sticking just fine. Hopefully you can see all these little things I'm adding. Now, you may not even see all these little things that go into this. I'm not even going to put any up top because that will get covered over. So I'm just going to focus on the bottom. I'm going to focus on the bottom areas. And I'm using just the burnt sienna. Maybe a touch of burnt umbers with that. I'm going to add a little bit more medium to this. Add a little more medium as you go. As you go. Now, I posted a little information last week or some time ago about WSO brush cleaner. And that's just the DIY brush cleaner. I just changed the name to WSO because I thought it sounded a little bit cooler sounding. And that is just a non-toxic cleaner that you can use to wash your brushes with. That's actually what I use to wash my brushes with now in the studios. On the show, I use it forever in the own studio. But now I'm using it in the shows here now. So let's go over here. And just put a few back here. Now this is probably going to get covered too, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You can obviously paint what you want. See what you want to see. We can just put them wherever we like. Okay, let's start bringing out our beautiful little path. And I'm going to take the fan brush. Let's go down to the palette. And I'm going to take some burnt umber and some titanium white. And a little yellow ochre with that would look nice too, I think. Okay. And we'll see how that shows up. I may add a little more burnt umber just because. Maybe a little touch of the blue just to gray a little bit. Maybe a little more white. Okay, let's go back here now to our little path. We're going to start right back here and start trying to work on our path out. You may not be able to see too much of this path because it's really close to the same colors that we got going. But I'm going to add a little more white to that color. And just kind of bring some of that back through. And then we'll take this burnt umber and mix some of that in there with it. Just kind of bringing the darker parts of the path in. A little darker at the bottom. Again, you decide how this path is going to lay and how it's going to live. You decide. You make all those decisions up. Okay, and that's just our basic backdrop for that. And then we could take our palette knife and just go into that light color we made and just get a little bit of that. Let's go back here. Okay, and just using that same old light color, we can use this to make a little bit of texture on here. I always like to add a little texture with the knife. It always does a good, beautiful job. You can skip some areas. Maybe the light don't shine on some areas. All that was all them colors. I'm gonna add a little we can add a little yellow ochre with that too. It don't matter. Just kind of rub it in. There we go. Pretty good. Now, let's try to add some little grasses here just to push this path into it a little bit. So I'm going to wash this brush off. We'll be right back. Okay, I got a nice clean brush now, nice clean dry brush. Let's go to the palette here and we'll make some little nice grasses to lay up inside here. Okay, I'm going to take yellow ochre with this brush. Okay, and I'm going to reach in here and grab some amazing white. Okay, let's add a little amazing white to that. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, Hansa yellow to that. And I'm just going to crunch the brush right into the palette. A little more amazing white would probably do nice. A little more Hansa yellow would be good. And when we go up here to paint these, we're going to use this brush like this. Painting like this. Okay, you see those nice little wispy little things on the palette? That's what we want. So load the brush up real good and kind of tap the brush into it. And let's go back here. Okay, let's start painting these in. Just little small jabs. Just like so. Will help give us beautiful tall grass effects. Living through here. Now we don't want to cover up all of our beautiful dark stuff we got going, but again we want some nice beautiful tall grasses living on both sides of this. We can even add a little burnt umber, or burnt sienna in it. See that? How it just nicely blends together. But we want to make sure we clearly got ourselves a little path living through here. Something that looks a little more refined. Let's keep working our way down. Okay, we're going to keep working our way down. You can add a little yellow, more yellow to it as you go, whatever you want. This is just another way to make some beautiful grass when you want a very tall looking grass. You don't have to add this to it. If you don't want this in there, you don't have to add it. You can leave it how it has been. I'm going to make sure I leave a lot of this in there as well, because I do like how that looks. And we'll come back and we'll add some burnt sienna and things like that in there with it. And now we're just trying to get this covered in there. Let's go on this side. Same way. We'll make sure we get it all nice and looking beautiful. Same colors. Just kind of keeping it in an even way. There we go. Okay, I got me a nice number 6 filbert brush here, and we're going to start working on some trees on this side, and then work some shadows in. Then we can start working on our beautiful big tree. That's just the main subject for today's painting, is this big tree. So let's go ahead and go to the palette and start working on some of these trees over here. Okay, I'm going to take my number 6 filbert brush, and I'm going to go into some of the ultramarine blue. I'll pick some of that medium up too while I got it there. And a little bit of the ivory black, a little bit of burnt umber together. And I'm going to make a gray, so I'm going to add some white to that, because I don't want them to be too dark. But I just want them to be nice in there. So I can use this color. And then we can wrap one side with black, one side with the light color. One side black, one side light color. And let's go up here. Now, you got to make a decision where your light's coming from. I'm going to say the light's coming from the left side. So I'm going to take the light side and go to the left. And so that dark side needs to be more thinner. So I add just a little bit more of the medium to the light color. That way this will stick better. Now I can see that going on. See how it's got a nice shadow and highlight all together? I'll add a little more amazing white to the highlight color, a little more black. So you can see that. There we go. There's one. Now you can really see it. See now those? We have nice highlights and shadows automatically. Now we're just going to go into a gray. Make a lighter gray color, just adding more white. As you go back here in the distance. Okay. Nice, beautiful trees. Now, we'll take our fan brush. So we'll take another fan brush. I'll just grab the number 6. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to take this burnt umber and a little touch of blue. And we're going to make some shadows go across this path. Okay, just right where the trees are. Make some shadows go right across. Not sure if you can hear that. I got a ton of bamboo outside of this shop here, of this studio. And you can hear it right now. It's kind of got, I guess, a little storm going on. And you can hear it just kind of hitting the side of the building here. Beautiful, nice shadow. Let's go on down. Does something like that. And maybe there's a tree over here, you just don't see it off the canvas. And you don't see it, so you see the shadow. There we go. Looks pretty good there. We can just throw in some things like this, just to help with some of that. There we go. Okay, and I think I also want to add in maybe a little fence post through there, maybe. We can add some little fence posts, and we can do it easily with some burnt umber, and a little bit of black, and a little bit of NTO medium. And we just go back here now. We just say, hey, where are those posts going to be? Some of these little posts, you can see those in the woods. Sometimes it depends where you live, right? And we'll go right over the top of that shadow. Just start working our way back down this little path. Have a bigger one right there. See, it does help it. And then we'll take our fan brush again with that same kind of color. and add in those shadows as well. So you got the shadows of the fence post going along, and then you just add a little medium to some of that gray color. Little gray color we had over here, and we can start making some little highlights on these little fence posts. It's really that easy. It's really simple. And we can just do some of this right here. You can barely see that trail because you got all these leaves and things going all around. Okay. Now I think it's time we start working on our big tree. So that's why I was just kind of rushed a little bit through here just so I can get this big tree today. Okay, because that's the main subject for today's painting. Okay, so now we have our little background done. We have some fence posts going, some beautiful shadows cutting across there. It's time to bring out this tree again. Now you're going to see it's pretty light now because we got some colors going across it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this an old eraser. You can take any type of an eraser. This is just a square eraser. A pink one will work fine. If you have a paint eraser, that works even better. But this will get the job done. And so what I'm going to do here is we'll take a close-up and I'll show you how to remove this paint with this eraser. And we'll be in business. So let's go up here now to the canvas with our little eraser. Okay, so I got my little eraser now, and I'm going to start to remove the paint right off there. See how it's coming right off? Remove that paint right off. Kind of look above it, see where we're at. There we go. Just takes it right off the old canvas. This way we're not having to fight this color when we're putting in the darks. But see, we can still see that black gesso through our painting. I mean, this gesso in general will just give you so many options when you're painting. Okay, so I'm just going to finish removing this paint up and then we'll start working on our tree. Okay, so now that I have this all nice and filled out, I got, you know, scraped that with a piece of an eraser. I'm just going to take some black and some brown, burnt umber and some black. And I'm just going to fill all this in. So just go ahead and just fill all this in. So I'm just going to just fill it all in with the black and the brown. Don't add no medium to your brush. There's medium here. Because when we added the blue and the black, you know, we did that. Now look right here. I just accidentally hit that old thing right here. See that? How I hit that? But we can make that work. That's okay. So I accidentally touched that. No big deal. We'll figure something out for it. You can take it off or whatever. So I'm going to fill all this in, and when I come back, this will be all filled in. Okay, so I have all this finished filling in, just using my number 6 filbert brush. Just fill it in, black, blue, and some burnt umber. Filled all that in. So that's what we did. We filled it all in. So now it's time to start adding in our highlights to this. Make sure you get it all nice and filled in nicely. And we're going to start adding our highlights. And I'm just going to take another filbert brush. If you don't have another one, just wash that one off. Okay, no big deal. Okay, so we have a big one here. You can use a fan brush to just jab it in here and get this thing filled in. See that fan brush? It'll do the job too. So if you don't have one of the filberts or another filbert, you can really use a fan brush too. It can do some wonderful things. But we're going to take another filbert brush and we're going to go to the palette here. Hopefully you can see all this really well. And I'm just going to take some burnt sienna and some titanium white here. Maybe a little burnt umber, some touch of red would be nice, a little yellow ochre. Now, if you don't have burnt sienna as one of the colors that you have in your studio, get you some. Get you some burnt sienna. It's a beautiful color. Okay, hold it back and forth. No mediums on the brush. Give the brush a little push, and let's go up here. So we'll go up here now and start deciding how this thing lays out. I'm going to start on right here and start working it in. Now this black and this mixture here is going to start cutting down the paint. And it just looks like I'm putting no paint on it at all. But what I'm doing here is I'm starting to get my strokes organized. I'm going to put like a little round circle there, like a knot or something's there. And so I'm just going to reload the brush. Like there's a knot or something that kind of sticks that through there. And just start to paint. Now if we take our overhand grip, we can start getting the paint to flow with an overhand grip. Okay, make sure you do the overhand grip. If you don't know what the overhand grip is, when you take your brush and you grip it like this. And we use no pressure, kind of like when we use our knife. Okay. And just start deciding where our highlights are going to be. These are just our highlights. My highlights are going to the left today. But, you know, this is the top of it, so this will be the top of that slim. Burnt Umber. Burnt Sienna, I'm sorry. Yellow Ochre and some white. Really load the brush up really good. Now, I get a lot of questions about how can you get more brushwork out of your paintings. And it's simple. A lot of you guys that watch programs here use a very dry paint. And a very dry paint is just not going to work for you. You want a nice thick, buttery rich paint. Okay, and that's what I really use. I mean, Grumbacher Pretest is nice and it's stiff. It does a really good job. And that's one reason I really like it for, because it's a nice buttery, thick, rich paint. See how that paint is just starting to flow off of here now? We're starting to get a nice idea of how this is going to flow. Right down. Right on down through here. And just let everything work. Let the thing do its job. Just using your little brush strokes. You can use small brush strokes. Beautiful stuff. And these trees, you could take a long time on these trees. Let me tell you something right now. You can. You can spend a long time on them. I'm just going to add more white. Just going to add more white to the palette here. Now there comes a point where you could add a little medium. We're going to see how far we can go without having to add any medium at all. I don't want to add medium if I don't have to add it. Okay, so we're working on our little tree here, and I forgot that I should have put the leaves in before we started working on the tree. So, don't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop working on our tree to start working on the leaves of the tree. And so we'll use our 2-inch landscape brush and go into the burnt sienna and just kind of tap your tip of the bristles right into that. So let's go to the palette here. And we're just going to use just the top bristles. Okay, let's go back up to our tree. And I'm going to start tapping in some leaves. Now these are the behind the tree. This is the back of the tree, okay? This is the back of the tree. These are the little leaves in the back. Burnt sienna. So we're just kind of hitting some of that color as well. But I do want some of this background stuff to show through behind this tree. But we want to make sure we fill a lot of this up as well. I'm going to grab some more burnt sienna to put on my palette here. Good old burnt sienna. That's the main color I want. Okay, you see how we're just putting these tree limbs, these leaves in. So don't worry about that old tree trunk. It's okay. No big worries here. And just tapping it in. So what you would want to do is, once you paint this for yourself, make sure that when you start cleaning up, don't clean the gesso out yet. Before you start working on that, put the leaves in, and then you can clean out the gesso with the eraser. See some leaves coming through there. But I can still see everything I need to see on here. Beautiful. Just let it crunch down right through there. Not bad. Okay, there we go. Now it looks kind of like a mess going on right now, but it'll be okay. We'll bring back our tree. I'm just taking some black here and just finding our little tree again. See how everything starts to bring everything right back, bring everything right back into it. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Okay. And then we go right back to our highlights that we were making with this, the burnt sienna and the white and everything else. And just start to do our little highlights again. Before I do that though, I want to add a little bit more of a highlight to the back of those trees. I'm just going to take some yellow ochre and some of that Hansa yellow together. A little amazing white with it. Just using the tips of the brush. And then just coming back here. And just add some little textures and highlights and things to the back side of these trees. Leaves. This is not behind the tree. This is underneath it. You can see it behind it. Just real quickly do it. Don't worry about it. If you start thinking about it, you're going to mess it up. There we go. Then you can take and thin down a little bit of that brown. Just run a few little things that's in the background here. Maybe you can see those. Now we go right back to working on our tree here. So you just go back here to start working on your highlights. Just start working on them. Okay. See, I was using like little jabs and things. But just spend your time working on them and you'll get it. But see, I messed up today, huh? So now you see that you want to do it better than I did. I messed it up there. So all you have to do is just do it before you start scraping out the gesso. But you can see if you do it, if you already did it already, like I did, then you can fix it. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. Add your bark in here. Add your bark. A little circle thingy here, a little knot looking thing. Okay, just like that. Little jabs and things will do a wonderful job for you. Now I'll take my brush that has the dark on it and just kind of work some of that back into this. Kind of playing with the shadows again. You see, just play around with the thing. play around and see what kind of shapes and things you get. Something there. Now I'm going to add a little more white to this. The edges there of that. Something like that. Again, they all can have a little bit of extra little hits here and there. Now I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm going to kind of do some what I like to call dry knifing. Can help me soften some of this stuff up a little bit. See that? It starts to make it a little better when you start working with the knife. Keep working on that. Limb. Just like that. You can even do some things like that on that. More black in here. Oops. Grab the gray instead. Grab the black. Okay, something about like that looks pretty good. Now you could take your Hake brush and you can just soften it down just a little bit with the Hake brush. And this will help soften it down, smooth everything out just a little bit. I like it just smooth just a little bit with this brush. Looks really good that way, I think. Okay. There we have that tree there so far. Bring that one back into that one a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Okay, now that we have our tree in here laid in here now, one thing I want to do, I see that I need to fix. This little spot right here. There, that's a little better there. And then I'm going to go back to that brush we're using to do their highlights with. And I'm going to go into the Hansa yellow. It's a little dirty, obviously. I'm going to grab some Amazing White. Right into that color. And then we're just going to kind of come in here and pop in a few of these in here. It's a little extra bright. Just a little extra brightness. On the front tree. Front of this tree. Just throwing a few little areas like that. It looks really nice. Just with an old 2-inch brush. You can use burnt sienna, whatever, for this part. Okay. Right, I think that tree is done. Now, right here at the bottom of our tree, I'm going to take take a fan brush here that I was using just for those trees, and I'm just going to mush in some paint on the brush. And I'm just going to squibble in and mush in some foliage. Kind of live right there. See that foliage? I call it a little smudging technique, but it makes some beautiful looking stuff. I'm telling you, I like doing this. with this brush. Now I got paint all over my fingies. Okay. Just going to thin down a little bit more of that gray color we was using earlier. Just kind of put in little trunks here and there. Well, not trunks, but like, you know, some limbs that live in that. And then I wash the brush. I just use the WSO. Then I'm going to thin down some of this yellow. I just have a little WSO and a little cup here next to me. And then just bring in some tall grasses. Now this one had a lot of stuff in it that I was just trying to get across to you today. And so I do hope you enjoyed painting this painting. It's pretty much almost finished. You could put some darker color leaves in there by just adding little browns and the black to it. And then I can wash the brush off one more time. And then just make a lighter grassy color. A little more of the oil. I've really loaded a big chunk on here because I want some really thick ones here coming through. Just something about like that. I like that. We can go on this side. And just sprinkle in a few little tall grasses that kind of live all around through here. But I do hope you enjoyed this one. This one was a super fun one to do. I always love painting these beautiful little scenes. I'll tell you, let's go back over here on this side real quick. I just want to carry that shadow over here just a little bit more from the trees. Just so you kind of can see the shadow a little bit poking out on that side. And then I can take some of that burnt umber color. Just throw a few little darker colored trees in. A couple of those. And there, I think I've got a finished little picture. Before I do that, I kind of want to throw in a couple of these little whitish color flowers. Kind of just poking this through here. There we go. There we go. Alright, I just finished signing my painting, and I do hope you enjoyed painting with me today. This one was a fun one, and it can be a little bit challenging just because it's big old tree and doing some brush work and things. This has some beautiful shadows going through it, just cuts it across, and just really gives it a beautiful looking autumn scene. So I do hope you enjoyed painting this one. And, you know, check us out on Facebook at Brandon's Wet on Wet Club. Share with us what you're doing. Share this painting here if you do it with us on there. And check us out at BrandonThomasArt.com and BrandonThomasArtSupply.com, where you can check out my signature products. That's my brushes, my mediums, and my palette, and some other accessories that we have. So, thank you for watching me today. Please subscribe and share with your friends. Please comment below. I won't say I love you, but Jesus loves you more. God bless you, and I'll see you real soon.
The Painting with Magic Show with Brandon Thomas is brought to you by BrandonThomasArtSupply.com.